Well, we're back here at the Hall of History, and today we're going to look at the June 6, 1944 invasion of the European mainland in Operation Overlord. And as you can see from the map here, the little diagram, these are the beaches in here, and you guys are actually going to pick one of these beaches and do a web page activity on it. Well, why did the Allies want to launch an invasion? Well, after the North Africa campaign, the Allies went into Sicily, off the in the Mediterranean. They took over that from the Germans, went into the Italian peninsula, and really it started to bog down. Italy is a very, very mountainous country, and the Allied advance just wasn't moving very quickly. Stalin wanted another front to be open against Nazis. If you remember from our previous one, the battle in Stalingrad, where it was like 1.5 million Russian troops were killed. The Russians were bleeding out, and Stalin wanted another invasion on the west side of the European continent to take the pressure off the east side. And again, as politics always entered into it, he also wanted the invasion on the west side so he could retake much of conquered Europe. And so there's always a reason why people want things, especially when you start getting into global politics. Witness Putin's invasion of the Crimea and the whole Ukrainian crisis right now. What was required for this? Many troops, landing crafts. The landing crafts were called Higgin boats, actually made in New Orleans. Planes, bombardment of shore defenses. One was deception, make the Germans believe you're attacking somewhere else. Part of this whole deal of deception was that the Germans really feared General Patton. After what he did in North Africa and also in Sicily, the Germans believed General Patton to be the best commander of the American forces. Well, he got in a little trouble in Sicily for striking a soldier who who was shell-shocked, and they actually used him as a deception, and that he was going to lead the attack where really he wasn't. They also the Allies decepted using inflatable tanks and having false radio communications, and this was all required to think the Allies were going to attack somewhere else from where they did. What was required was this whole idea of low tide versus high tide. On the Normandy coast, if it's high tide, there's not a whole lot of beach there, so they wanted to attack over low tide. So all of these things needed to go into make the attack a success. It was interesting to note, as all the American troops flooded into England at this time, there was a saying that the Yanks were overpaid and oversexed. There was a lot of downtime, and a lot of the British did not like the Americans being over there, especially they just flooded the area, and it's now we don't have time in this class, but it's a really interesting social area to study the American really invasion of Europe. Now I should say of Great Britain at this time, with the influx of American troops. Oh, here's a picture of the beaches at high tide. You can see they're fairly shallow here, and it would act for a good landing area. Yeah, low tide here, much more area here to land on, and this was a lot with this was all taken account. The phase of the moon, all this was taken into account during the planning for the invasion here. Let's see if I can find my. Why did the Allies select Normandy? Well, one, they could mass the troops in the English Channel, and you can see from all these points of departure here. One was deception. If you look, this is not the closest spot to Great Britain. Hitler thought that the Allies were going to invade across the Straits of Dover, across to Calais, right here, which is very short distance, but most of the German generals at the time thought Normandy was going to be the target down here. Well, as we know, Hitler pretty much won out here, and he massed many of his troops back into here to beat off any invasion. General Rommel, who we talked about with the Africa Corps, was put in the leadership role of the German troops at this time. So that'll it's our brief look at this. We're going to watch a couple clips off of Saving Private Ryan, and we'll go from there. So till next time.